Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Mark Kotrovsky here.
And Sergey Kotrovsky.
And we're with Mirror Coffee Roasters. And the point of this video, really, we just wanted to sit down and share some of the things that we went through over the past 3, 4, 5 months, I think, maybe 5 months of planning the launch of Mirror Coffee Roasters and some of the things that we ran into that were kind of unexpected and something that I wish somebody sat us down beforehand and was able to share with us, because that might have made a little bit of the process a little easier on us. So the first thing we wanted to cover really was packaging. Now, there's a lot of great coffee shops out there with this beautiful, elegant packaging. Either the bags are printed or you have limited edition, just like cans or boxes or whatever. And so we had a pretty sweet plan what we thought would be to start off Mirror Coffee Roasters with, which was what?
We wanted to do like a box or a tin, something that was limited edition, but also maybe possibly reusable, but something that also revealed the creativity of what, Mirror wants to do. Like everything from, is it possibility of adding a little mirror to the box or making a different design or stuff like that. But yeah, money comes down to be pretty expensive.
Those like perfectly customized boxes with logos and this beautiful printing actually ends up being pretty expensive. And maybe you guys are starting off a coffee roasting company and maybe you're like, okay, I'm not trying to do anything fancy or out of the ordinary, but even getting our white bags that we bought, it was not super expensive, but it was actually also not as cheap as we thought it would be. And same thing with the labels is that, and the cool thing was, like, we got a huge discount on our labels and stickers that we printed. And that was simply because your wife helped us out, right?
Totally. Yeah, and that's the big part is like, there's a label, there's a printing, but who's gonna design your label? And we were like totally fortunate that Deja was able to give us some design advice, do all the design, put it all together, and it was like basically having an in-house designer. But if you don't have an in-house designer, then you have to think about, you have to hire out a designer. So the designer's just not gonna grasp the vision as you might. So that means you have to explain, you have to give them time, and it takes just time to create that, and which is money.
Right, exactly. And so the cool thing was, which you can, we'd recommend, check out Deja on Instagram. I think it's like Deja Griffin Photography.
Deja L. Griffin.
Deja L. Griffin. I don't know. We'll post this somewhere. There'll be some. But she did like a phenomenal job. But we were blessed that it was like done in a house pretty much. And so, that was one of the things that we gathered together. And we're like, it's actually coming out a bit more expensive than what we thought. So the second thing we wanted to talk about was something that's a bit more important, especially as a roasting company. Right. How many samples did we end up going through before we chose our Colombian Nariño?
Gosh, a lot. I want to say like 15.
Something like that.
12, 13, something like that.
I think we got, it was either 2 or 3 different coffee importers that we got samples from. And so that was all fun and games until one of the importers said, hey, we'll sample roast the coffee and send it to you. But then the other 2 coffee importers said, hey, we actually can't do that right now for you. So you have green samples, but you can't taste the green samples because they're not sample roasted.
Right.
And we obviously can throw it in the Dietrich, this 12 kilo behind us. You just don't sample roast on one of those things.
Well, unless you're Scott Rayo.
Unless you're Scott Rayo, then you can do whatever you want.
200 grams.
Yeah. And so that's like a big thing that we didn't think about, because we were like, oh, we can just get coffee importers. They'll surely sample roast for us. And that's not always the case, right? Because some importers will have the opportunity to do that, and some just don't. One of the things that we overlooked was purchasing a sample roaster. And so other than like not being able to sample roast, what are some of the problems that you run into even if the importing company does sample roast for you?
I think it's just the freshness of that roast, depending on when it comes and how long it has been since it was roasted. You're not able to do it on the spot, and to actually dial in a sample roast, it does take some roasting capabilities to make sure that your roast is done well, so you can actually taste and have a honest result. Okay, does this coffee have these flavor notes, or does it have defect? All of those things are very, very important to do that in-house and be able to do it on hand.
We ended up purchasing an Ikawa sample roaster, which we're so pumped about.
It's a neat device. I was actually talking with an importing company, and we were just chatting about the Ikawa, and he was like, hey, like if you guys get samples in, let me know. I'll just share the profile with you, and you can just roast according to that. One, that saves a lot of time, but also, once again, it gives you an honest understanding and interpretation of the coffee that you're gonna buy.
So we're gonna do some experimental roasts on that, and hopefully come out with a video sharing some of our thoughts on it. But we're super amped about the Ikawa sample roaster, and it comes in a cool travel case, which hopefully we'll be taking to Origin in early summer to Indonesia, which we're pumped about.
Another thing that I think a lot of the times people underestimate, and we did too, is how long it takes to get things done, to put things in motion. So one of the things is like we always think, oh, we can plan this on this day, have it done tomorrow, and it's ready the following day. Most people, especially us, you don't start a roasting company by quitting your job. It's like you gradually grow into that, and then you make sure that you have the income to sustain yourself and then provide and create income from the roasting company. But that takes time. When you're working 2 full-time jobs and you're trying to hold everything together and then start a roasting company, it doesn't happen quick. And I think a lot of the times we just underestimate the amount of time it takes to invest to do logistics, green coffee sourcing, like we were talking about earlier about buying green, like all of that takes time, and sometimes it's just longer than expected.
Totally. I mean, like think about as a coffee roasting company, when we're choosing a coffee, we're cupping coffees where maybe we have maybe 4, 5, 6 samples on the table. And how long does that usually take us?
I mean, from setup to teardown, I think an hour or more.
An hour and a half, and by the time you set up the cups, grind and measure, cupping it at really hot temperatures, really cool temperatures, by the time you're cleaning out all your bowls, you have everything back to normal, time flies by and you don't notice it, but that's like an hour to an hour and a half. Stuff really takes a long time, whether that's building your website, updating your social media takes time as well, posting stuff, figuring out logistics. There are so many things that come in to play that we didn't even expect would be the case. And so so if you're thinking about, man, it's gonna take me X amount of days or X amount of hours to do this, I would strongly recommend leave yourself a buffer room. I would say if you're thinking something is gonna take 2 hours, expect it to take 4 hours. So I'd say even double the amount of time that you think something is going to take. And therefore, if you do get it done in that 2 hour limit, great, you have 2 hours left over that you can get started on the next project. And so the worst is when you're planning for a week and it turns into a month. That's the worst case scenario. So otherwise, that's kind of just some stuff that we wanted to share with you guys. Hopefully it brought value to some of you who are thinking about starting something, or that have, and you guys, this is just resonating with you. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching, for listening and hanging out with us. If you'd like to stay posted on the content that we'll be releasing on this channel, hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, go ahead and go grab yourself a cup of coffee, drink, enjoy, and we'll see you guys in the next one. See y'all.